Recently, one of my clients in Australia, he's a personal trainer and he wants to get more people in his online coaching. He was giving away a free recipe book. So I'm like, you know what, let's just try this strategy because I know it works. And it's a great way to start conversations. And I'm like, obviously, high level has the feature and it'll make it a lot easier instead of you manually going ahead and applying to everyone. So we implemented that feature for him in his Instagram, and he obviously got a lot of people replying with that word or DMing him that word. And then automatically, he would reply back through the system, letting him know, okay, cool, here's a guy, check it out. Obviously, we tested it throughout to make sure it works, but that that is generally how the process worked for him, and he's gotten a lot of leads that way.
Welcome to the Spotlight Session. It's a game-changing interview series that showcases award-winning agency owners to share secrets of starting and scaling a marketing business.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of our high-level Spotlight Session. We put these podcast episodes together for you, so that way you can grab tips, tidbits, strategies from high-level users, partners, agencies, or those that are just getting started out that need a little bit of guidance and the right direction. Today I'm going to be introducing to you Joana Maas. She's from Sydney, Australia, and she's been a high-level power user since 2020. And it's one of those things that when you look back, time has flown by. And we've put together a topic because she's no stranger to, others in her area that are using high level or customers that found her through the community or through high level events. But I want to make sure that you take home some value today so you can put into action in your high level and help your customers or maybe help yourself get some clarity. So if you're tuning in live, let us know in the comments below and help me give a warm welcome to our special guest, Joana Maas from Sydney, Australia. Joana, great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. And you like other users, you're using the platform, you're in the weeds, you're helping customers, you're learning as you go, you're joining workshop events. Could you share a little bit about yourself to those that maybe haven't had a chance to meet you yet or haven't seen one of your posts or get to know you at all?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, like you mentioned, I've been a high level user since 2020. I specialize in Facebook ads, lead generation, along with the CRM build out. So, it can kind of work hand in hand to grow service based businesses and scale without the of manual work, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you almost gave away the whole episode here. The goal here is to reduce the manual work so you can spend time learning and serving your customers and giving them the value that they're paying you for. So I'm excited for what we're about to unpack here. And for those of you that are new to this type of format, welcome. We're going to be going over our title here, which is How Agencies Win by Keeping It In-House with High Level. Right? So many features. How can we use all the features without outsourcing or doing too much delegation? And we've broken this down into three major parts of the episode. The first one is building local presence through organic marketing. The second is from invincible to invisible, using paid ads that work. And the third is bringing everything together with the customer journey. So owning the lead, the automation that feels personal. And our hope is for you to kind of see things maybe a little different or be introduced to it the first time so you can take action for you and your customers. Now, what's unique about this particular guested episode is that we're giving you a global perspective, right? Australian clients versus United States clients versus maybe some that are in Canada. Elsewhere, there are different elements. So we hope that you see that observation and get a few takeaways from that too. So Joana, if it's cool with you, it looks like we got folks chiming in below that they're tuned in and ready to go. You cool with us getting started?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. So let's start to unpack this organic marketing and local presence, right? You've been a high-level user since 2020. Could you share with us what initially drew you to the platform to serve local businesses in your area?
Yeah, for sure. So, how I actually got started is from my marketing coach at the time. I was learning ads through him, and then he kind of introduced me to High Level because he was using it. And he basically told me that you can build everything in there. So, I'm like, all right, cool, let me check it out. And he was kind of helping me through the ropes, kind of build my funnels, connect everything. And obviously, it's grown from then till now dramatically. But that's basically how I got started through him. And then I kind of just got into it. I got my client, I started building her stuff and I've been using it ever since.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how a lot of our customers that we get to meet found out through word of mouth. Someone that was building with high level prior and said, "Hey, you got to check this out," which is so powerful. And, approaching the software is very unique to use case and right experience in marketing. Do you mind unpacking for the audience here? How do you approach organic marketing for local businesses in Australia compared to your clients in the US?
Yeah, for sure. So clients really heavily focused on the organic marketing side with Facebook, Instagram, not so much Facebook, but because they're connected, you might as well use both, and TikTok. Um, and they have a lot of their call to actions where they do require a lot of DM me a specific word to get this free guide, or DM me this another word to get them to the next step in the customer journey, or commenting the word below. So they're very heavily focused on the organic marketing in terms of scheduling, whereas I feel like my American clients are really focused more on the paid ads side of things as opposed to organic. They get more leads that way. Even though they do use organic marketing with social media, I do encourage them to do that. I feel like the organic side is heavily focused, in my opinion, in Australia.
So, with your experience serving Australian clients, clients in the United States, could you share with us briefly, like what is it that you do to stand out to get best of both worlds? How do you go about finding those clients locally in Australia and then abroad in the United States?
Yeah, no, for sure. So what I usually do locally is I post organically on my social media and engage with my local clients here, along with commenting in groups or answering questions in groups. I'm heavily focused in Facebook groups within the high level community, along with other entrepreneurial groups around the world too. And I just be mindful of the comments, just providing a lot of value in terms of what they're looking for, and then kind of just starting conversations that way, just keeping it natural, not being too pushy, because I feel like everyone these days are just trying to sell you everything. Whereas if you just come up across with like a natural approach, generally want to help somebody, we start conversations. If we're a good fit, we work together. If not, it's cool. I can refer them to somebody else.
Absolutely. And it sounds like, with that organic marketing, you're also doing it yourself. You mentioned, being part of groups, creating this word of mouth. And, sometimes when meeting new high level users, and maybe you experience this yourself, maybe you don't, sometimes people don't know where to really start. Where should I apply my energy? Is it
Hmm.
organic and is it, sending DMs or going, sending out email blast, or is it going into private groups? So I
Hmm.
appreciate you sharing what's been working for you. You had also mentioned about the call to action, put this word to get this end result. I know that's a feature, right, in high level. And for those that may not be aware of it, could you share a little bit of how that success organically has helped maybe land a client or keep a client if they are losing faith in organic marketing?
Yeah, no, for sure. So recently, one of my clients in Australia, he's a personal trainer and he wants to get more people in his online coaching. He was giving away a free recipe book. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just try this strategy because I know it works, and it's a great way to start conversations. And I'm like, obviously, High Level has the feature and it'll make it a lot easier instead of you manually going ahead and applying to everyone. So we implemented that feature for him in his Instagram, And he obviously got a lot of people replying with that word or DMing him that word. And then automatically, he would reply back through the system, letting him know, okay, cool, here's a guy, check it out. Obviously, we tested it throughout to make sure it works, but that that is generally how the process worked for him, and he's gotten a lot of leads that way. And it's obviously organic, so no paid ads.
So no paid ads, but
Mhm.
it sounds very busy, right? People are commenting. Now you have to reply, and now you have to actually send it. For those that may not be aware of the feature that you're referring to, could you maybe share with us how does this work? If somebody were to learn about this feature and then put it to work for their client, what's the heavy lifting like, or what's the automation that does it for you?
Yeah, sure. So the automation is just, it's not so complicated at all. It's all you have to do is there's a trigger where it's called customer reply, and you select the channel, which is either Instagram or Facebook. And once it's in high level, you have to filter out the different platforms. And then from there, you put in your phrase, whether it's example, contains the word, whatever the word is, and you can have multiple words in there. And then from there, you can start in another, I guess, um, trigger or something that will reply automatically using your own language and how you speak to make sure it's not like robotic or anything to that person, and be like, oh, like, check it out. Thanks for commenting, check your DMs, something short, how you speak. And then that's really it. You don't need to do too much with it. It's probably someone that doesn't know, probably take about 10 minutes or so, but that's it.
Yeah, and it looks like we got some comments below here. So if you're familiar with this feature, maybe you've tried it once and gotten some great result, or maybe you didn't get to complete the actual setup, let us know in the comments below. And what's really cool is that because we're always evolving with high level, these features are getting tweaked based on user feedback, like Joanna's has been giving us and others. Joanna, when it comes to organic marketing, right, we have an understanding of networking, joining groups, using maybe features like the reply and the automations within high level. Could you share a little bit about what else maybe or how else your team uses websites, forms, surveys, things of that nature to generate leads to get them to that customer journey experience?
Yeah, so people that don't have a website built, I highly recommend using the high level website builder in itself, because you can do so much things like you mentioned with having forms, and obviously with websites you need a form in there to capture leads, right? So it makes it so much easier because everything is in-house, and then with the form automate things too, making it easier to follow up with customers that come in organically. So recently, actually last year, I built a website for a client. I didn't have one. I built a form along with a chat widget too, which is another way to capture leads. Again, everything within high level. And with that, we were just posting organic. I just followed up with her. I'm like, well, how's everything going? How's the website? She's like, I'm getting great leads. People are filling in the form. I'm like, all right, cool. The automations are going out. She's getting notified. So it's really cool to see that everything can be built within that platform, and you can still capture leads through just posting on your socials with what is built in high level as well.
Yeah. For someone that's maybe thinking this sounds too good to be true, could you just help them understand um, what is it that you experienced that made you feel confident in using this to serve your local customers in your area and then, in other parts of the world? What keeps you all in on it?
I honestly feel like it literally has everything you need. You don't need to go to any external business tool or anything like that, because everything in terms of finding somebody organically all the way through the customer journey, becoming a client, sending out reviews, is all within the one platform. Um, booking appointments, forms, capturing leads, like I said, even now with the social media scheduler too, I feel like it's evolving continuously year by year and it's just getting better. And I have never found a platform is that has all these features, make it so much easier for businesses to put everything in that one platform.
Yeah, and I think, aside from what you've shared, are all organic components that a business will pay a premium for as an individual feature. I think what's even cooler is that our customers are learning as they go and they're expanding their knowledge, even though they may be more than the average user in their experience. And that's exactly what's going to lead us into this next uh, pillar here, which is paid ads with a purpose.
Mhm.
Based off of what you talked and you shared with us, getting your organic marketing, your local presence is key. Now, let's say, for example, this personal training client you have, or this home service business, they want to turn on the faucet and get more customers outside of organic. As we start to talk about paid ads here, could you share a little bit about your go-to approach when helping local businesses go from being unknown to being actually like found by those paid ads?
For sure. So my go-to approach, hands down, is the lead generation campaign within High Level that you can link the instant form, which is pre-qualified in High Level as well. Because the thing is, you can get so much leads, but if the leads aren't qualified to potentially convert, then there's no point in that. In my opinion, I feel like you want to get good qualified leads instead of just having a whole bunch of leads and like they're a waste of time, right? So my go-to is a lead generation instant form campaign in Facebook, along with connecting it to High Level to capture in the pre-qualified questions that is built in Facebook, connecting it to High Level with the automations. And that has been successful for all my clients.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily how many leads can we get, is what's the most quality leads, and then it sounds like
Right.
you're using the CAPI to push it back to Facebook to know that
Mhm.
these are the types of leads I want.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like that's like a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know that. And maybe they don't know it because they're doing ads within, right, Meta. Or
Yeah.
there's so many different buttons and stuff to push that it kind of slips by. And that's kind of what's going to lead me to the next part here is where when you're managing paid ads, could you talk a little bit about how you start your strategy call? Right? Someone's saying, "Hey, I'll give
Mhm.
you, the management fee you want plus the ad spend." Could you talk about some of maybe the questions or the process you follow so that way you're able to get the best result for them from the beginning to the ongoing?
Yeah, for sure. So a few questions I would love to find out or I need to find out is your customer journey. I feel like that's so important because without the customer journey for any business, it's really hard to do the build out within High Level or Facebook ads or whatever the case is, along with your competitors as well. Like you are, let's say, your top 3 to 5 competitors, just so we can kind of have a comparison on what's going on with them, so we can make your services better, along with your unique selling point too, and your main service. I feel like a lot of businesses may have different services too, but I just want to focus on the main one that they want to have fulfilled so we can make a clean transition from getting somebody from a lead to a paid client and then doing the build out throughout.
And if I'm understanding this correctly, because there's so many different strategies, so many different approaches, and there's never a one way for everything. Um, do you typically, or do you find yourself often doing one ad creative for one service and then launching that and starting some testing out? Or do you find yourself coupling it? Um, could you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So what I usually do is I have one campaign or one main service they want to promote. For example, with the creatives itself, I like to have between maybe 6 to 8 different creatives within the campaign, but only turn on 2 at a time to test out which one's doing better. The reason for that is because with Facebook, you usually have between like a 5 to 7 day learning phase. So Facebook can collect as much information as possible. And throughout that learning phase, you really don't want to turn the campaign on and off. You want to let it run for as long as it can within that 5 to 7 days to collect that information. And the reason why you want to have, in my opinion, between 6 to 8 different creatives in the campaign is when it comes to making changes, and I make changes weekly, is you can just have it ready to go and then just turn them on and off based on the winning campaign. Or obviously the winning campaign, you want to leave it on, but the one that isn't doing the best, turn it off and then test another creative in there.
Yeah. And when it comes to static creatives and video creatives, or even the sizes, in feed versus reel size or story size, could you share a little bit about how can someone that's not familiar with this but is, doing some testing or maybe is used to doing it just one way? Could you share a little bit about how you incorporate those different sizes and maybe when, as an example?
Yeah, cool. So I usually kind of like it I leave it as like a one size, which is like the Instagram dimension, not the new way, like the square way. And I just kind of leave it as the original because it will optimize it how it is. I do leave some of the features turned on, like the special effects. I just leave the music turned off. But obviously, because the different sizing within Instagram and Facebook, it might be different, but I don't really play around with the sizing too much. I just kind of leave it. And then we either way also capture leads because of the information in there along with the copy as well. So I don't really play too much with the sizing.
Yeah, and you've shared some very particulars, and I appreciate it. And for those that are tuning in, all campaigns will vary, and what Joanna's sharing, results will vary. Obviously industries and all these different elements make a difference. But I think what was the biggest takeaway for me was turning the music off, but leaving the effects
Mm,
on, and then
mm,
going with the standard feed size because
mm.
that gives a good start for optimization. And then, like you had mentioned, turn some of them off, but don't turn them all on.
Yeah,
Powerful,
correct. Yeah.
powerful stuff here. And this is, in a given, could you share a little bit about maybe how many years you've been, focusing on paid ads, and maybe one or two like successful industries you've worked with that maybe you use or share a testimonial or they're part of your your brag folder of like I help these kind of folks kind of thing.
So I weren't paid ads back in 2020, but I didn't really dive into it deep until I would say maybe 2022. And then from there, it kind of grew. I had my main client that I have been working with since I started with High Level and everything. Um, she was kind of like my guinea pig, so to speak. I was just testing out a few things just to more of the beauty industry. Um, we actually ran masterclasses overseas last year in Milan, Dubai, and New York. So I would say that was like a massive achievement because she's in Sydney as well. So taking her from Sydney to become an international recognized makeup artist because she does educational things as well. Overseas and it happened all within that 1 year. And even a company, because of they saw she was doing classes overseas, they flew her out to New York to do a class for them specifically too, which was pretty cool that I was a part of that for her, helping her with the ads and getting the leads for her in those countries.
Absolutely. And I feel like, that's where you kind of talked about the customer journey, right? Understanding, what their customer wants, expects. And, I think you hit it right on the nail on the head where it was like, this was a teacher within the beauty space. So there is a premium that, these product owners, these high-end stylists, or even salons and professionals will pay for you to bring your expertise. And it sounds like
Mhm.
between, all over the world, there's a lot of magic in all. I guess it all happened from Facebook ads and the strategy, right? What's the
Yep.
limitation? The budget,
Yep.
right? The messaging, the resonating. So, look, y'all, if you're resonating with what you're hearing now, right? Maybe you've been wanting to dabble into some paid ads. Maybe there is someone in your network or friendship that you want to use as your starting point. Definitely understanding that customer journey and getting the word out can start with a small budget and expand from there. Next question I have for you, Joanna, is um, running ads in Dubai, running ads in New York, running ads in Australia. Could you share, are there anything that you've experienced particularly different or a good to know when running ads in those countries that you've experienced in the past?
Yeah, you have to be mindful of the country and kind of see if it is um demand in there in terms of taking them to the next either a call or chatting with them via DM because obviously they don't know who you are yet. They've just seen your ads. You just want to kind of be mindful of the customer journey in terms of what is the next step after they fill in their details in Facebook to wanting to convert. So we've tested a few things, which is after they put in their details, they go to a landing page with more information about the person, what they're going to receive, and a payment link then and there. We've noticed that not many people would convert or buy straight away from the landing page. So taking them to a different approach where they book a call, for example, that worked well in New York compared to, let's say, Milan. What we did is chat by Instagram, make it a bit more personal that way. Just be kind of mindful and just be open to testing out different ways because not one way works for every single country. And people do want to have that experience with somebody before they make a payment, regardless of what the price is, making sure they're a legitimate company, a legitimate person to make sure that, that product or service is going to go ahead for them as well.
Yeah. And you've touched on some of the what people may assume as the basics, right? Of course, people want to work with legitimate businesses. Of course, people want to work with good products, but sometimes as the advertiser or the consultant or even as the customer, I feel like sometimes we take this for granted because we're not in the actual shoes and how they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking from our audience or customer at that moment, right? We're aware, we're familiar, we right have an understanding, but the actual moment, if someone's in need of a certification class and the last time before their stuff renews, or if they have an emergency issue at their home, there's a different emotional attachment or need, right? Like you mentioned, maybe that booking the call is good, but pressing call now is better. Maybe chatting because it's
Yes.
overnight or their texting is better than, right, booking a call or submitting a long form. And that's where you were mentioning your testing
Yes.
and really understanding. And I want to bring this back to the beginning where you mentioned
Mhm.
customer journey. And I feel like it's the most appropriate time now by the looks of the comments and our audience, kind of sharing their feedback and their experience, we've so far covered organic marketing, local and international presence. We've talked about just now paid ads and having the purpose, but now we're getting traffic, we're getting hand raisers. Let's talk about automating that customer journey. And for those that maybe not familiar what I mean or still new to marketing or maybe not looking at it as detailed, Joanna, could you explain what does automating the customer journey mean in your experience with clients today?
Mhm. So, in my opinion, what it means is following up with a customer without you having to do the manual work. So they don't miss out on an opportunity, or you don't miss out on an opportunity as well, because research shows that if you don't speak to them straight away, but when they become a lead, you may potentially lose them. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but a lot of people say the power is in the follow up as well, because not everyone then and there would want to buy from you or get your service. A lot of people may be shopping around. But if you really prioritize that potential customer or potential lead that comes in, it makes them more likely to go ahead because they are being acknowledged and nurtured throughout that process, letting them know that you have not forgotten about them and you are also keeping them top of mind within your business as well.
Yeah. And when it comes to, you know, creating, managing, servicing this automation, do you have some maybe best practices, some maybe key things that you do when you have the ads about to launch, you have the organic marketing about to go? That final piece, which is now mapping out the plan of what happens when they land in a form, a booking appointment, a call now, whatever the case may be, how do you go about like mapping this out? What tips could you give some of our new people and maybe some people that right think that they have what they need and that's all?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, a few things I like to do is I like to have a customer journey. It's called a pipeline within High Level, just to kind of make you aware of where that client is within that customer journey framework when you are preparing, let's say, the ad along with the automation, along with having tags. Again, very, very similar to customer journey, but notifying you where they are within that process, because obviously the goal is to convert them down the track because you believe in your product and service, and that's what benefits the potential lead as well. Along with notifications, letting you know that somebody is interested. And I feel like the given is either a follow-up email and SMS, because that is the whole part of the automation process, is to nurture your leads that come through. So that is the overall steps that is essential that I would do within that process.
Yeah, and I'm thinking here, the maybe one of the main differences, because it really varies, is whether you're using like WhatsApp or standard SMS, right?
Yeah,
Or standard voice, depending on, I guess, if the client has maybe a US number or a number from the States versus they're just using WhatsApp. Um,
for sure.
could could you talk a little bit about some examples with how you build out a customer journey, right? Like what I'm thinking is, right, maybe Googling a business type and then maybe looking at some ads that, you know, people would find if they were looking for a service that was being offered, and maybe a little bit reverse engineering what some of the bigger players are doing in that market or industry. Is there something in particular that you would maybe recommend our audience when starting to get familiar with your customer's journey and then maybe implementing it in some sort of format into High Level?
Yeah, cool. So in regards to the customer journey, I feel like it's very good to be aware of, you don't have to, just keeping it simple in terms of how you're going to take somebody that's seen your ad to buy from you essentially, or book your service. I feel like a lot of people think that it has to be complex and they have to do all these different works and whatnot, but sometimes simplicity is better, because you don't have to take customers through hoops, and it can just be straight to the point. If you want this service, obviously each business and niche varies, but if you want this service, okay, book a call, or book or schedule you know book a call, or put your number for us to book in or whatever. So I feel like keeping it simple is something that may be underestimated. So just be mindful of that. In terms of, I'm just going to give an example of a client that I have, which is a plumber. So with his strategy, what we've done is we're running ads for him and his service is block drains. So obviously with that, it's going to be an issue that needs to be addressed straight away. So instead of us having a booking link, for example, we have the ad, we have pre-qualified questions, just very, again, simple, maybe two max, because we don't want to overcomplicate things. And again, we want to filter out the leads that are going to be time wasters as opposed to people that really want the problem solved. Once it's done, after that, it's like, give us a call. If they don't give you a call, for example, then we have the automation that comes in where, okay, we know a lead came in because they filled in these questions in Facebook, right? And then we call them after a minute straight away. Because it's like, okay, they're a warm lead, okay? You want the issue solved? All right, cool, we'll call you. And then they have a chat. My client has a chat with them. You know, they either book an appointment with them on the phone in terms of like an inspection to get the issue resolved. And if not, cool, we have series of automations that go out the following day to be like, hey, do you still need this service? Very simple again, but straight to the point in terms of, do you need this, yes or no?
Yeah. The speed to lead sounds like what you're focusing on, where, maybe someone analytical might not realize it, but overcomplicate it.
Mhm.
Maybe someone that is maybe used to seeing ads from other marketers positioning their service to them might believe they need to run that same format, which is like
Mhm.
over extra quadruple overqualify, where the end user, which could be a homeowner, just wants to get a call back, submit a chat, or book a time, right? So
Exactly.
could you share a little bit about if you experienced that, where when you were first getting started out, maybe you got a lot of marketing ads, so you thought that was the same motion? Could you give some advice to our new high-level users that are going to go in the platform? They're inspired to start doing organic marketing within high level. They're inspired to use the Facebook paid ads or the Google paid ads feature, on how to stay away from what you're getting positioned or promoted to, and what your customer's customer really wants to get help with.
For sure. I feel like just be mindful of when you see things like that, and kind of just reiterate to yourself where you are in your business right now. Because what you see may be businesses that have been established for years and they already have a process, they have their own team, or etc., as opposed to you in the industry for maybe 5 years or so. Be mindful of your price point, okay? Compared to low ticket and high ticket. Based on that, also the customer journey may vary. So somebody that is going to have a pricing that is over $500, they probably want a phone call with you or book an appointment as well. So to understand what they're receiving as opposed to something that's for like $20, for example, that you might get away with people buying straight away, or just a few follow-up reminders to be like, hey, you forgot to purchase this. So just being aware of where you are right now in your business, along with your your service that or product that you have and the price point with that, to really determine the customer journey in terms of, okay, do I need to speak to them, or can I get away with a few follow-ups to become a client or a customer?
Yeah, just the way you're explaining that is similar to what I hear from sometimes from users that are brand new, learning the ropes, um, because they looking at, maybe they're just more techie, right?
Yeah.
Versus marketer wise. So thank you for sharing that from your personal experience. I want to wrap up with the follow up, right? So if I'm understanding this correctly, if you're working with someone B2B or even B2C, get from point A to point B as quick as possible, depending on their needs, whether it's book a call, um, make a call, submit a chat or SMS, do a form fill. Try to get that as direct and quick to possible. And I guess put a sequence or follow up for within, those first 48 hours to determine where they're at. But I want to talk about that if we don't get a response, maybe it's bad timing. What does that follow-up sequence in your experience look like that's maybe worked for some industries that are, that maybe overlap each other?
Yeah, cool. So I feel, in my opinion, if someone says no, then then that's it. They're not going to purchase, right? But if someone doesn't respond, I feel like there is a possible opportunity down the track where they will go ahead and convert. It may not be right then and there, but you can. What I would do, what I've done in the past, is I would wait a bit and I would follow up less within the month, let's say maybe twice a month, just again to let them know you do have a problem, we have a solution, you have inquired, you haven't said no, you're not going to purchase or become a client yet, but we are here letting you know when you are ready to go ahead. And just um, of things they may not know or little tips and tricks, just again nurturing them throughout the process because that is the power of follow-ups, right? If they haven't said a direct no, that they still might consider you down the track. It's just a matter of reminding them or priming them to be like, okay, cool, we are still here and we're here to serve you whenever you're ready, and we haven't forgot about you.
And the last one, and I agree wholeheartedly, and I think sometimes, when you're in the beginning stages, you're trying to, right, get your first few sales. You're trying to make this work. But
Mhm.
I feel like once you get that momentum going, you got some good, case studies, you're building and getting good results, you're starting to believe in what you do, it's a lot easier to talk shop with others. Kind of like what we did here. You gave some hands-on experience that you do, some best practices, and it's not like we planned out every single question here, or we said we're doing a master class on this stuff, right? You're just speaking naturally based on actions. I want to get your opinion or thoughts because I feel like we all go through this, but someone responds back with stop, leave me alone, unsubscribe me, and they don't click the button and they just
Mhm.
make it difficult. What do you do to keep your composure?
Okay, so look, what I usually do, I've kind of built that resilience because I was in sales as well. So I've kind of built that throughout the years. But for somebody that hasn't, for example, right, if you feel a type of way, like feel it, like release your emotions. Better to release, suppress it. So release your emotions. If you're gonna feel angry, if you go rant or whatever, do it. But then remember, it's not personal. Just in the back of your head, be like, you know what? It's cool because I'm not the only one that is probably, having this getting done to me. And their shoes, how would you feel as well if somebody is spamming you all the time, for example? You would probably feel the same. So just don't take it too personal. And remember, there's so world that if you're not going to please everyone, but the ones that do want your services or want your help will find you, and vice versa. The ones that don't are doing you a favor because you're filtering out that noise too.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for just sharing it right from the hip, from the day-to-day operation, and just welcoming, um, you know, us into your mind, allowing us to ask you questions and for you to share your perspective with a bunch of people that you've never met before on the podcast, tuning in, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, watching this in the Facebook group. We appreciate you. And if you want to connect with Joanna, you can find her in our group. You can search her name here. There'll be some information below. Definitely start networking. Joanna, could you take us home on pretty much what should we be doing next? Like I consumed this episode, you got me pumped up. Now what? Do I just watch more episodes? Like what do you recommend?
Get into it. Start mapping out your customer journey. Don't be afraid to run ads because I swear it is so powerful when you know when it's done correctly, and you don't need a high budget. Like my clients, I run up for $5 a day, $8 a day, $10 a day. Just start small, see the results, and just keep going. Just don't sit and binge watch. Get into it. learn the basics. The basics is all you need. Just figure out, again, simplicity, your customer journey, and then go right in and do it.
Look, y'all, mic drop on that one. We appreciate you tuning in, sharing your comments, asking your questions. If we didn't get to them, definitely we'll be reaching out here. Joanna will be in the comments here once we wrap up. But Joanna, thank you so much for starting your day with us. You're in Sydney, Australia. We've been back and forth trying to map this out, and we made it happen. It's been an honor to chat with you. Thank you for being our customer, and we'll hope to see you at some of our events coming up. And look,
So,
this is what we do, right?
yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Well, look, y'all,
Thank you
we
so
got
much for
nothing.
having me.
Absolutely. You heard it from Joanna. Thank you for tuning in. We got more to come at you. On to the next one. We'll see you then. And make sure you comment your results and your takeaways. We want to hold you accountable. Take care.